The alert came through at 6:47 in the morning. A property transfer notification. Our mother's house, filed 3 days earlier. My sister's name was listed as the sole transferee. Mine wasn't on it anywhere. I've heard people call this kind of thing a family revenge story. I always assume those happen to other families. Not mine. I was wrong about that. We grew up in that house, a 3-bedroom on Carver Street that my parents bought in 1987. When my mother passed 2 years ago, the house was supposed to belong to both of us. 50-50. At least that's what I believed. My sister Renata and I hadn't fought after the funeral. We agreed to figure out the house later. She lived closer, knew the neighbors, had a key. I was in another city. She said she'd manage the property. I trusted her to do that. That trust is what she counted on. The transfer notification linked to a county filing. I pulled it up on my phone, still in bed. A quitclaim deed. Signed, notarized, filed with the county recorder's office. Renata listed as the only owner. My signature was on it. I had never signed anything. I told myself there had to be an explanation. A clerical error. A misfiling. Something I didn't understand yet. I opened the document again, zoomed in on the signature line. My name. My signature. Notarized. I had never been to a notary for anything related to that house. I called Renata that afternoon. She didn't answer. I left a message, calm, neutral, asking about a property document I'd received. She texted back 2 hours later. Mom always wanted me to have the house. We talked about it before she died. I'm just making it official. I read that text 15 times. That evening, I pulled the original probate documents. My mother's will was unambiguous. The house split equally between both daughters. No codicil, no amendment, no side agreement. I had a copy of every page the estate attorney had filed. I went back to the county recorder's site and started pulling the full filing history. That's when I found the second document, a deed of trust, filed 6 months earlier. Renata had used the house as collateral on a loan I had never been told about. I opened my laptop and started a folder. Screenshots of everything, the quitclaim deed, the deed of trust, the original will, the probate filing, every county timestamp I could find. Then I kept going back through the records. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. I just kept pulling older filings. Eventually I found it. A transfer on death deed, filed years before my mother passed. I didn't remember hearing about it. I opened the scanned copy and zoomed in slowly. Both our names were listed, but not the way I expected. Renata was named as a secondary beneficiary. My name came first. I read the next paragraph carefully. The property transferred to me when our mother died. Renata inherited only if I chose to sell. I read that paragraph again, then a third time. The filing date was 7 years earlier. Recorded properly, never revoked. The county ownership page had never been updated after probate closed, but legally, the house had already transferred. Not half. All of it. Renata had filed a forged transfer for a property she didn't fully control and had borrowed against it as though she were the sole owner. She must have assumed the house was still shared. Or she thought I wouldn't go back far enough to find the older deed. Either way, she had miscalculated. I called the estate attorney the next morning. She remembered the case immediately. I emailed the documents while we spoke. 20 minutes later, she called back. The notary's stamp on the quitclaim deed was real, but the commission number belonged to a notary registered 2 counties away from where I lived. The notarization records her office held did not match. She told me to call a real estate attorney that day. I did. He reviewed everything the same afternoon. The quitclaim deed was fraudulent. My signature had been forged. And then he said the thing that settled it. Your name is still on the original title. A fraudulently filed deed doesn't erase that. She forgot about the title. I wrote that down. The following week, he filed 2 things simultaneously. A quiet title action, formally challenging the transfer and asking the court to confirm the ownership already on record, and a correction affidavit attaching the transfer on death deed filed directly with the county recorder. We also sent notice to the lender, informing them that the deed of trust had been secured against a property where ownership was legally disputed, and that their borrower had represented sole ownership of an asset she did not solely own. Renata's loan was flagged within days. The county updated the ownership record shortly after. No confrontation, no accusations, just documentation. Renata called me after that. She didn't apologize. She said our mother had privately wanted her to have the house. She said I'd been absent. She said she'd done all the work. I let her finish. Then I told her the matter was in the court's hands now. She hung up. The quiet title proceeding is still moving forward. The county recorder has flagged the quitclaim deed as contested. The lender has opened their own investigation into how the collateral was represented to them at closing. A few weeks later, a letter arrived from the county. Plain envelope. Thin paper. I opened it at the kitchen table. The ownership section listed one name. No forged deed. No contested transfer. Just the original filing that had been sitting in the county records for years, waiting to be found. I think about that morning sometimes. 6:47, half asleep. The notification almost looked like spam. She filed a document and assumed I wouldn't look closely. She forgot that my name was already there, on a deed filed years before either of us understood what it meant. The court is still deciding what happens next, but the one thing she couldn't erase was the one thing she forgot was still there. I used to think this kind of thing was rare. Then other people started telling me their stories.